Simulan mong abutin ang iyong pangarap na magbibigay dangal sa iyong bukas. Ang suliranin, hindi laging nandyan, dapat mong harapin. Kami iyong kasama sa bawat takin, magkaakbay nating lulutasin. Dito sa Fernandino Teens TV, ang boses mo ay mahalaga. Dito sa Fernandino Teens TV, ikaw lagi ang bida. Ang mga aral ay ginintuang atin ng bawat guro na siyang gagabay sa iyong pagkamulat. Naway umukit ito sa iyong isipan, maging mapanuri, sundin ng wasto at nararapat. Kagandahang asal ang ipakita, ipadama ang pusong may malasakit. Dito sa Fernandino Teens TV, ang boses mo ay mahalaga. Dito sa Fernandino Teens TV, ikaw lagi ang bida. Sakali mang tayo'y subukin ng unos, ating haharapin ng walang takot. Sasamahan ka ni Fernan at Dino, ang bagong barkada mo. Dito sa Fernandino Teens TV, boses mo ay mahalaga. Dito sa Fernandino Teens TV, edukasyon mo'y sigurado na. Dito sa Fernandino Teens TV, boses mo ay mahalaga. Dito sa Fernandino Teens TV, edukasyon mo'y sigurado na.
Fernandino Teens TV.
Nan, ano ba yung ginagawa mo? Di naman yan ang pinapagawa ni Sir ah.
Hindi nga. Natapos ko na yon sa bahay pa.
Eh kanino yan?
Sa kapatid kong grade 9 to. Problem niya sa math. Kanina pa nga ako na-stress eh.
Eh, ano ba kasing pinapasolve sa problem?
May dalawang given kasi dito sa problem. Tinatanong, kasi kung gaano kahaba ang nakasandal na hagdan. Eh, nakalimutan ko na kasi to.
Mabuti pa, panoorin natin si Sir Limin. At kung hindi ako nagkakamali, ay may relasyon ang problema mo sa ituturo niya sa atin ngayon. Tara!
Let's G! Greetings, Fernandino Teens! Welcome to a new mathematical journey as we unveil another concept that will make us fall for math. In mathematics, we always find x, or the missing value or part, and spend more time trying to figure out the reason why. Do you know this man? Amazing! He is the great mathematician Albert Einstein. Do you know that he once quoted, "If A is success in life, then A equals X plus Y plus Z. Work is X, play is Y, and Z is keeping your mouth shut." Join me as I share the completion of some missing pieces among right triangles. This is Mr. Allan P. Limin, a grade 9 mathematics teacher, your Fernandino Teens TV Season 2 presenter for today. At the end of our virtual learning, you are expected to 1. Recall the parts of a right triangle. 2. State the Pythagorean Theorem. 3. Use the Pythagorean Theorem in finding the missing sides of a right triangle. Lastly, apply the concept of the Pythagorean Theorem in real-life problems. Let us warm up your brains. You may type your answers to my questions in the comment section if you're watching via YouTube Live. If not, then you may use a paper and write down your answers. What kind of figure is this? Very good. It is a right triangle. But what do you know about a right triangle? Terrific! It is a triangle with a right angle. Given the right triangle APL, which is the hypotenuse? Brilliant! It is the line segment AL. What part of the right triangle are the line segment AP and the line segment PL? You really are math wizards. They are the legs. How about angle P? Correct. It is the right angle. How about the remaining angles? How do we call the angle A and the angle L? Remarkable, Fernandino teens. They are acute angles. How are these acute angles related? Great! They are complementary angles. I am sure this has been helpful in aligning yourself in math. Before we proceed further with our discussion, let us play a matching game. Does it look familiar? You are right. They are Tangram pieces. Tangram puzzles originated in Imperial China during the Tang Dynasty. In China, Tangrams are called Qin Xiao Pan, which means intriguing 7-piece puzzle. Shan Xiao published a book in China in 1815 about tangrams that contain 374 puzzle patterns. Now let us go to the matching game. Find the right tangram piece that will match the given clues. You may type your answers in the comment section if you are watching via YouTube Live. If not, then you may use a paper and write down your answers. You will be given 5 seconds to answer. Let us begin. Number 1. Amazing! It is C, because a lesser siren belongs to amphibians. Let us go to number 2. Outstanding! The answer is A. This is because the Banawe rice terraces belongs to one of the 7 wonders of the world that can be found in Asia. Number 3. You are right. It is A. This is because a chopping board is also a tool used by the chef. Number 4. Impressive! The answer is B, since it is also a ball used in the Olympics in rhythmic gymnastics. Number 5. Marvelous! It is C. This is because Maningning Miklat is also a Filipino poet. Have you noticed that all the formed figures in our matching game are right triangles? What is it about these right triangles? When we return, we will explore more about right triangles. Fernandino Teens TV Season 2 will be back. So stay tuned.
Ang Schools Division Office City of San Fernando, Pampanga ay kaisa ng Department of Education sa pagsasagawa ng mga proyekto at programa na tumutugon sa mga pangangailangan ng mga mag-aaral. Inilunsad ang Division Call Center for Tutors and Guidance Counselors upang magbigay ng educational at psychological assistance sa mga mag-aaral, magulang at stakeholders ng division. Kaya, kung may nais kayong itanong tungkol sa pag-aaral, maaaring magpadala ng mensahe sa Division Call Center for Tutors and Guidance Counselors Facebook page o tumawag sa mga numero na makikita sa ibaba ng inyong screen tuwing Lunes hanggang Biyernes sa ganap na alas 8 ng umaga hanggang alas 6 ng gabi. Maaari rin kayong sumangguni sa ating guidance counselors na nagbibigay ng guidance and counseling services. Lahat ng inyong ibabahagi ay mananatiling confidential. Ang nasabing programa ay nagsisilbing daan upang malaman ang feedbacks ng stakeholders para matulungan ang ating divisyon na mapagbuti pa ang mga sumusunod na programa. Ano pang hinihintay ninyo? Tumawag na sa aming mga numero o bumisita na sa aming Facebook page at magpadala ng inyong mga katanungan.
Fernandino Teens TV.
We are back, Fernandino Teens. In our previous presentation, we have integrated other concepts from the different subject areas in math, particularly in right triangles. Let us continue. Do you still know him? He is often referred to as the first pure mathematician. He was born on the island of Samos, Greece in 569 BC. He was interested in mathematics, philosophy, astronomy, and music, and was greatly influenced by Pherecydes, Thales, and Anaximander. He was best known for his contribution, the Pythagorean Theorem. I am sure that with these clues, you can recall him. Who is he? Pythagoras! You have got good memories out there. Now let us find out the mystery behind the famous Pythagorean Theorem. Let us watch the video about the proof of the Pythagorean Theorem.
One classic proof, often attributed to Pythagoras himself, uses a strategy called proof by rearrangement. Take the four identical right triangles. With side lengths A and B, and hypotenuse length C. Now arrange them so that the hypotenuses form a tilted square. The area of that square is C squared. Now rearrange the triangles into two rectangles, leaving smaller squares on either side. Sides A and sides B. The areas of those squares are a squared and b squared. Here is the key. The total area of the figure didn't change. And the areas of the triangles did not change too. So the empty space in one, which is c squared, must be equal to the empty space in the other, a squared plus b squared. So this is the proof of Pythagoras on the Pythagorean Theorem.
From the video, you have seen how Pythagoras has proven the famous Pythagorean Theorem. So, the Pythagorean Theorem states that the square of the hypotenuse is equal to the sum of the squares of the two legs. Hence, the formula is c squared equals a squared plus b squared, or a squared plus b squared equals c squared. Since a and b are used as the legs and c for the hypotenuse, we will stick on these representations. Further, a denotes the shorter leg, while b is the longer leg. If you want to determine the length of the hypotenuse, which is c, then you can use the formula c squared equals a squared plus b squared. You can further simplify this by using the square root method. So you will have square root of c squared equals the square root of a squared plus b squared. Therefore, the formula is c equals the square root of a squared plus b squared. To determine the length of the shorter leg, you can derive from a squared plus b squared equals c squared. By using addition property of equality, or APE, add negative b squared to both sides of the equation. So you will have a squared plus b squared minus b squared equals c squared minus b squared. Performing the indicated operations, then you will have a squared equals c squared minus b squared. By using the square root method, you will have square root of a squared equals the square root of c squared minus b squared. Your formula for the shorter leg is a equals the square root of c squared minus b squared. Finally, to determine the length of the longer leg, you'll make use of the equation a squared plus b squared equals c squared again. By addition property of equality, or APE, negative a squared will be added to both sides of the equation. A squared minus a squared plus b squared equals c squared minus a squared. As you perform the indicated operations, you will get b squared equals c squared minus a squared. By using the square root method, you will have the square root of b squared equals the square root of c squared minus a squared. Hence, the formula that you will use for the missing longer leg is b equals the square root of c squared minus a squared. So our formulas include c equals the square root of a squared plus b squared for the hypotenuse. A equals the square root of c squared minus b squared for the shorter leg. B equals the square root of c squared minus a squared for the longer leg. Now, we are ready to apply these formulas in finding the missing lengths of the sides of right triangles. Let us have the first example. 1. If the length of the shorter leg is 5 units and the longer leg is 12 units, then how long is the hypotenuse? If the hypotenuse is missing, then what formula will you use? Impressive! It is c equals the square root of a squared plus b squared. What will you do next? Very good. Substitute the given values. So you will have c equals the square root of 5 squared plus 12 squared. What is next? Correct. Simplify to get c equals the square root of 25 plus 144. Further, the result is c equals the square root of 169. Now, what is the value of c? Fantastic! C equals 13. Therefore, the length of the hypotenuse is 13 units. Let us proceed to example 2. If C equals 10 units and B is 8 units, then what is the length of A? Since the shorter leg, or A, is missing, what formula will you use? Brilliant! It is A equals the square root of C squared minus B squared. What will you do next? No doubt about it. You are correct. Substitute the indicated values, getting A equals the square root of 10 squared minus 8 squared. What else will you do? Of course, you will simplify the radicands, so A equals the square root of 100 minus 64. Then, you will have A equals the square root of 36. Then what is the value of A? Very good. A equals 6. Therefore, the shorter leg is 6 units in length. I am certain that you are ready to examine example 3. How long is the longer leg B when the hypotenuse C is 26 centimeters and the shorter leg A is 10 centimeters? What formula will you use? Amazing! B equals the square root of C squared minus A squared. Then what will you do next? Yes, substitute the given measure B equals the square root of 26 squared minus 10 squared. After this, what will you do? Correct. simplify by expressing b equals the square root of 676 minus 100. What will be the result? Good. So the result will be b equals the square root of 576. What value of b will you get? Congratulations for a job well done. B is equal to 24. Therefore, the longer leg is 24 centimeters long. Other than A, B, and C, we can also use other letters in the alphabet in their lowercase for the representations of the hypotenuse and the other legs. If we still satisfy the theorem that the square of the hypotenuse is equal to the sum of the squares of the two legs, then representations using other letters do not matter. Aside from using letters in the alphabet, we can also use directly the names of the sides of the right triangle when applying the Pythagorean Theorem. We have had so much, and now I am sure that you have fallen in love with math. When we return, we will unravel some dilemmas among right triangles. Hold on to your seats, Fernandino teens. We will get back soon.
Maya po oras kaya kayo, Fernandinos. Ako pala ay Allan Serrano ng City Tourism Office ng Siyudad San Fernando. Ngayong bulan na ini, pagmasusyan tayo ang National Heritage Month na ating temang Victory and Humanity, Upholding Filipino Heritage and Identity. Kambena nini, metong karang aktibidades na ng siyudad, apin ng launching ng bayong Heritage Passport. Yung Heritage Passport, apin ng metong karing proyekto ng kaya katamong siyudad, yung pamanamuna ng Mayor Edwin D. Santiago. Anong nuka rin makalagelangan ding eganagan ng heritage sites, heritage structures, naakit tamo kin kay katamong heritage district. Makakayado din kini, ding importansya da ding mapil na tradisyon kay ni syudad, kalupa ng pamangawang parol, ang po yung pamangalesa. May aw siyang heritage passport, uling atin kang dapat gawan, anong nukaran puntalan mo lading at tsuking passport, at saka ka mag-selfie. Kay ba't kanta, palto making tourism office, at mamiyalang sticker ka rin eganagan ng apuntulan mong lugar. At timong may ngari ang tutong passport. Balo mingeni, panahon na ini, etamo makain bisa lumal, uli na ng COVID-19 pandemic. Kaya naman kimbanwa ngayon agkatan ko ding bikers tamo, edad 18 hanggang 50, imbis na lumaot kayo po, di na nyo lang dita ka oras di kaya katamong heritage structures, kaya ni syudad. Anya naman karing mumunang 50 bikers ang makayari kaya katamong heritage passport, midinan lang premium only San Fernando loot bag. Inggawan nyo mo bakit ta makapag-register, punta kayo mismo opisina na ng City Tourism, ng munisipyo, at saka kayo magdalang metong valid ID. Kabinan kaya kayong heritage passport, ating makasipit ang instruction nung nano pa ing dapat gawan. Anya naman ka rin hanggang kapadyakin, nanano ko pa, tara na!
Fernandino Teens TV.
Welcome back, Fernandino teens. A while back, I have shown you a lot of examples on how to use the Pythagorean Theorem in finding the missing lengths of the sides of a right triangle. This time, you are going to examine if the given lengths of sides will form a right triangle. You may type your answers in the comment section if you are watching via YouTube Live. If not, then you may use a paper and write down your answers. Are you ready, Fernandino teens? Number 1. Will 1, 2, and 3 form a right triangle? What is your answer? Very good. The answer is no. Why? Correct. Because the left side of the equation will not be equal to the right side of the equation. Let us have a quick look. 3 squared equals 1 squared plus 2 squared. What is the next step? Right. We need to simplify to get 9, which is not equal to 1 plus 4. What is the final answer? Good. 9 is greater than 5. Therefore, it will not really form a right triangle. How about number 2? Will the lengths 12, 35, and 37 form a right triangle? Amazing! It is a big yes. Why? Very bright. This is because the application of the theorem will be satisfied. Let us check. 37 squared equals 12 squared plus 35 squared. What is next? Perfect! Simplify to get 1,369 equals 144 plus 1,225. What do you think will the final answer be? That is true. You will get 1,369 equals 1,369. It will form a right triangle since the square of the hypotenuse is equal to the sum of the squares of the legs. Remember, when the square of the hypotenuse is equal to the sum of the squares of the legs, you will exactly form a right triangle. This time, let us plunge into the practical applications of the famous Pythagorean Theorem. But before we proceed further, let us consider the following steps in solving a worded problem. 1. Draw the diagram and label the given. 2. Identify what is to be determined. 3. Write the formula. 4. Show your solution. And 5. Write the complete final answer. Before we continue, let me remind you that as you solve the problems, you may type your answers in the comment section if you are watching via YouTube Live. If not, then you may use pen and paper and write down your answers. Let us start. Example 1. The flagpole of Pampanga High School is to be made firm. A support wire is fixed on the ground 4 meters away from the base of the flagpole and is fixed on the flagpole 6 meters up from the base. How long will the required wire be? What must be considered first? Correct! First, we need to draw and label the figure. What is asked in the problem? Good eyesight! How long will the required wire be? How will you express the formula? Very good! You will use representation. Let W be the length of the wire. Now, what is the formula? Correct, Fernandino teens. By the Pythagorean Theorem, you have W equals the square root of A squared plus B squared. Now that you have the formula, you are ready to show the solution. What will you do next? Genius! Substitute the given values in the problem to get w equals the square root of 4 squared plus 6 squared. What is the next step? Terrific! Simplify the previous equation to have w equals the square root of 16 plus 36. What is the answer? Yes, the answer is w equals the square root of 52. Do not forget to indicate your complete and final answer. That is expressing the unit needed in the problem. So what is the final answer? Great! It is the square root of 52 meters, or approximately 7.21 meters. Now let us have example 2. A student of PHS has flown a kite as part of their output in math. Suddenly, it has stuck on the tip of the light post. He has decided to tie the remaining end of the string on the ground, which is 3 meters away from the post. If the string is 9 meters long, then how high is the post? What is the first step? Absolutely. You need to draw and label the figure. What must you find in the problem? Good. How high is the post? How will you represent the unknown? Very good. Let h be the height of the post. What formula will be used? Right. By the Pythagorean Theorem, you have h equals the square root of c squared minus a squared. Then what will be done next? You have good memories. Substitute the values to get h equals the square root of 9 squared minus 3 squared. What is the next step? Amazing! Simplify, then h equals the square root of 81 minus 9. What is the result? Sharp mind! The result is h equals the square root of 72. What will the complete and final answer be? Impressive, Fernandino teens! The height of the post is approximately 8.49 meters. It is true that we can apply the concept of the Pythagorean Theorem in real-life problems. It is really fulfilling when you can find a missing part in real life. What more if you could find someone to love for the rest of your life? Hang on, we are about to complete the journey of learning today when we return. Prepare yourselves for a fun-filled evaluations. Stay in touch to Fernandino Teens TV Season 2.
Hindi lamang sa larangan ng pangkabuhayan apektado ang maraming pamilyang Pilipino, kundi maging sa larangan ng pagkatuto ng bawat batang Pilipino. Inilunsad ng siyudad ng San Fernando ang programang Nurturing Environment and System for Thriving or NEST, isang education community pantry na naglalayon para sa isang malawakang pagtulong, paglantabay at paggabay na ang focus ay ang makapagbigay ng tulong at suporta sa ating mga mag-aaral sa pamamagitan ng pagbibigay ng educational needs gaya na lamang ng school supplies, tutorial sessions, study tips, at iba pang mga pamamaraan na mas lalong makatutulong sa pag-angat ng ating edukasyon. Dahil hindi hadlang ang pandemya sa magandang kinabukasang naghihintay sa ating mga mag-aaral. Sino-sino nga ba ang mga kalahok sa programang ito? Sa pagtutulungan ng ating school administrators, guro, magulang, at iba pang mga miyembro ng ating komunidad gaya ng barangay officials at sangguniang kabataan, ay siguradong magiging mas matagumpay ang programang ito. Paano nga ba ang magiging proseso ng naturang programa? Una, magkakaroon tayo ng isang Facebook group, ang Pampanga High School Nest Education Community Pantry na pangungunahan ng Educational Pantry Coordinator. Ang mga magulang, tagapangalaga at mga guro ay ia-add ng ating Educational Pantry members sa Facebook group na ito. Sa page na ito, maaaring i-post ng mga magulang at tagapangalaga o sino mang miyembro ng Educational Pantry ang kanilang mga kahilingan o requests. Kailangan ding ilagay ang pangalan ng mag-aaral, grade, at section para sa mas agarang aksyon. Oo nga pala, hindi lang requests ang pwedeng i-post. Pwede ring mag-post ang mga nais magbigay ng tulong o mga gustong mag-donate. Sabi nga nila, sharing is caring. Tandaan na ang Facebook group na ito ay pribado at posts na may kaugnayan lamang sa page na ito ang maaaprobahan. Mayroon din palang Google Form na ipamamahagi kung saan maaari nating isumite ang ating requests o kahilingan. Paano naman ang mga walang internet access sa bahay? Huwag mangamba dahil merong mga nakalaang drop boxes ang ating paaralan na kung saan maaaring ihulog ng mga magulang at tagapangalaga ang kanilang requests. Sa mga nais namang mag-donate ng school supplies, maaaring ilagay ang mga ito sa tabi ng drop boxes. Maaari ring mag-donate ng mga kagamitan o cash donation kaakibat ang pagsusumite ng deed of donation form. Pangalawa, mahalaga ang ugnayan ng mga guro at ng mga magulang o tagapangalaga sa programang ito. Gamit ang video calls o chats ay ipahahayag ng mga guro ang adhikain ng programang ito sa mga magulang o tagapangalaga. Maaari ring gawin ang orientation na ito ng face-to-face kasabay ng schedule ng kuhanan ng mga module. Gaya ng nabanggit, hindi lamang mga bagay ang maaaring i-donate. Pwede ring mag-conduct ng tutorial session, study tips, at iba pang mga kagamitan sa pagkatuto gaya ng mga aklat o kaya ay gadgets. Ikatlo, ang requested needs ng ating mga magulang o tagapangalaga ay ililista ng ating Nest focal person. Ang mga coordinator naman ang mag-aayos ng mga ito. Ang advisors ng ating mga mag-aaral, guidance counselor, at iba pang mga guro ay ipaaalam sa ating mga magulang at tagapangalaga ang petsa at oras ng pamimigay ng requested needs na gaganapin sa paaralan. Sabi nga nila, it takes a village to raise a child. Kaya naman aktibo at iba yung pakikilahok ang inaasahan sa pagsasanib puwersa ng paaralan at barangay na siyang tutukoy sa pangangailangan ng bawat Fernandinong mag-aaral at kikilos upang matugunan ito sa tulong at suporta rin ng mga miyembro ng komunidad. Isang malawakang komunidad para sa isang produktibong educational community pantry ay tiyak na lilikha ng iba yung pagkilos upang maging mas magaan at madali ang pagkatuto ng bawat kabataang Fernandino. Kaya naman tandaan, magbigay ayon sa kakayahan, kumuha ayon sa pangangailangan.
Fernandino Teens TV.
Glad to have you back, Fernandino teens. Now let us test your comprehension regarding our previous presentation. You will be given 3 tests to prove that you are a qualified math wizard. Test 1. Answer yes if the given lengths can form a right triangle. Otherwise, no. You will be given 3 seconds to respond. Write your answers on the comment section if you are watching via YouTube Live or use a pen and paper. Are you ready? Let us begin. Number 1. Will 2, 3, 4 form a right triangle? Great! The answer is no. Number 2. How about 3, 4, 5? Will they form a right triangle? Excellent! It is yes. Number 3. If you have 2, 5, 6, then is it possible for you to form a right triangle? Wonderful! The answer is no. Number 4. What if the lengths are square root of 2, square root of 5, and square root of 7? Can we form a right triangle from these lengths? Astonishing! Yes. Number 5. If the measure of the lengths includes 1/2, 1/3, and 13/36, can we form a right triangle? Splendid! It is yes. You have increased your brain power. Let us go to the second part. Consider the following right triangles. Find the missing lengths of sides. You will be given 5 seconds for every problem. Begin. Number 1. If A is 6 and B is 8, then find C. Magnificent minds! The answer is 10. Number 2. If the longer leg is 8 and the hypotenuse is 12, then find the length of the shorter leg. Brilliant, Fernandino teens! The answer is 4 square root of 5 or 8.94. Number 3. If the shorter leg has a length of 3 square root of 2 and the hypotenuse is 6, then how long is the longer leg? Excellent! The longer leg is 3 square root of 2 or approximately 4.24. Finally, let us move to the last test of comprehension. Given the maze, follow the path to the right part. Use the sharpness of your eyes and brains. You will be given 5 seconds to manipulate your imaginations in the maze. Good luck. Here it is. Number 1. Fantastic, Fernandino teens. Number 2. Sharp mind! You get 2 thumbs up. In this episode of Fernandino Teens TV Season 2, you have learned a lot of very interesting things about the right triangle. These include the Pythagorean Theorem, which states that the square of the hypotenuse is equal to the sum of the squares of the 2 legs. In symbol, C squared equals A squared plus B squared, or A squared plus B squared equals C squared. When the square of the hypotenuse is equal to the sum of the squares of the legs, you will exactly form a right triangle. Steps to consider when solving worded problems. 1. Draw the diagram and label the given. 2. Identify what is to be determined. 3. Write the formula. 4. Show your solution. And 5. Write the complete final answer. Here are the references I have used in this episode. Before we end this episode, let me share a piece of song so you could master the Pythagorean Theorem. Listen to this.
Pythagorean Theorem, used for right triangles. C squared equals A squared plus B squared.
Now sing with me. Pythagorean Theorem, used for right triangles. C squared equals A squared plus B squared. It has been a great pleasure and honor to share a moment of understanding and enjoyment. When missing someone, you have a lot of ways to connect and attach yourselves to. In this time of pandemic, I appeal to all the parents out there to keep on communicating, connecting, and guiding your children so you will not miss anything as they grow. Again, this has been your teacher lecturer for this episode, Allan P. Limin, saying thank you for watching. Stay healthy, helpful, and calm. God bless.
O ano na? Nasagutan na ba ninyo ng kapatid mo ang assignment niya sa math? Matapos niyang mapanood si Sir Limin.
Oo naman, Fer. Maraming salamat, Sir Limin. Dahil sa episode mo, alam ko na kung paano ko gagamitin ang Pythagorean Theorem sa pagsasolve ng mga problems na involve ang mga right triangles.
Kaya naman, Fernandino Teens, samahan ninyo ulit kami sa susunod na episode ng
Fernandino
TV!
Season 2.
Kung saan ang kabataang Fernandino ay angat sa aking tarima.
Bagong umaga, yakapin mo ang bagong pag-asa. Simulan mong abutin ang iyong pangarap na magbibigay dangal sa iyong bukas. Ang suliranin, hindi laging nandyan, dapat mong harapin. Kami iyong kasama sa bawat takin, pagkaakbay nating lulutasin. Dito sa Fernandino Teens TV, ang boses mo ay mahalaga. Dito sa Fernandino Teens TV, ikaw lagi ang bida. Ang mga aral ay gininto ang atin ng bawat guro na siyang gagabay sa iyong pagkamulat. Naway umukit ito